if you guys want to, you can definitely. You can see my screen, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to practice it, like I said, you're more than welcome. If not, we can. Do you want me to go over this one more time, very quickly?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, what part could be very confusing here is like, where does this whole thing start? Are you, so right now, this is our main app.js, right? And in our app.js, we created this new component where it's just rendering the counters. So counters are meaning like this one row is one counter. I don't know why they named it counter. This counter got more fancier than we initially started. The counter should just have increase, decrease, and reset, you know? But this got more fancy. Even this looks like a button itself, but that's fine. So we have a counter component, which is actually not here. It's in the same app.js. It's just up here, right here. This is our counter class. So you can imagine this as a separate component if you want. So this is a separate class where we are basically just doing the render, and it's returning us buttons for each of these rows. For each of the counters, it's returning us one button for each. I mean, one row for each one of them. And in one row, you see first button is for increment, which is this guy. Second, this button here is for decrement. And then third button here is for delete, which is this. And then the last one is for reset, which is this one. So since these are being rendered in the when we are mapping over it. So when we are mapping over the counters are coming here in the we destructured our object, right? These are the props that's being passed to these counters from our main app. Yeah. So as you can see, this is coming straight from the state. And since that's an array, we are mapping over it and we're rendering everything in the UI like this. And when we click on each of this reset button, right? So for example, this, it sets it to 0. What happens is for this reset button, when we click, we are invoking onReset method. And onReset method is actually coming from our app.js onReset. But on the app.js, the function name is called handle reset, right? So as a props, we're just passing it as onReset. And this handle reset function, what it's doing here is that it's taking the ID of the counter that's being passed. So this is counters. So imagine this is one counter right now that we are passing, the first one, which is this guy right here. And when we click on reset, what we need to do is right now the value for this is 3. So if yeah, right now the value for this is 3. So even though here it's as 0 because it's the state, right? So what I want to do is I want to go inside the state and update the value of the first counter to 3. And how do I do that? So since I have the counter here, what I want to do is I want to create a copy of my state. Now I have the copy. So inside of that copy of my state, I want to find the index of the object that I'm clicking. So this object here, since I'm clicking this one, I want to pass its index, right? When I pass it as an object, I want to find its index by using index of. So now, since I clicked the first one, the index of this is passed in here. We found the index of it, which is 0, right? So now, inside of the counters copy array, which is the copy of my state, I want to go there, and by its index, I access it. So counters 0 is going to give me this object. And what I want to change here?
The value.
The value of it. So since I have the first object, dot value is going to give me the value for it. So now I want to change its value to 0. And now this counters copy has everything that's in here plus, not plus, but the first one value is updated to 0 because it was here 3. When I reset now, it changed it to 0 and then put that array back to my state by using set state.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the most complicated thing is right here, yeah?
Yeah, you were saying that we needed map, but where are we using map?
Right here.
Oh, so we're using the counters or counter?
Counters. Counters is this array. The counters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Counters array is coming from my app class, which is the
Yeah.
counters array. And
But
this,
in line 73, we are passing counter.
in line 73, yes, because when we are mapping over this array, map function takes 2 parameters, right? One parameter is the each element. So imagine map like a loop. We're looping over it, you know?
Mm.
Let's look at the very quickly. For example, let new array is A, right? B, oops, B and C. So if I want to see individual elements to be printed, I can map that array, right? New array dot map and element. What I can do is console.log. Here is your elements one at a time. I will print the element one at a time, and that's gonna be called here an element. And let's do what?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see? So this was our array, ABC, and I accessed each one of its elements one at a time. I named it element. So this first element right now is pointing to this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the first iteration. And I say, here is your elements one at a time, and I'm printing the element. So as you can see, first we're printing A, boom, it's done. Now on my second iteration, I'm printing B. On my third iteration, I'm printing C. And I'm using map here. So how would I do the same thing? So let me copy this. How would I do the same thing by using the regular for loop? Yes.
It would be for let I be 0, I less than URA dot length.
Okay.
And I plus length This should be
I plus plus. Okay. And then,
Sorry,
oops,
are you recording?
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think it's
Am I?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
recording.
yeah, you are.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I can see. Oh,
And-
recording, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Use
I just
G.
now need to do is console.log. How do I print out one element at a time?
New array I.
New array inside square bracket I.
Yeah, and
Yes, yes.
use G in length.
G. Oh, on the link. Okay, hold on. Let me. Length.
Mhm.
Okay, so now if I hit enter,
I think there is extra closing
oh,
parenthesis.
I see. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So now by using the for loop, we access one element at a time of our array by using the regular for loop. And the same thing we are doing with the map, right?
Mhm.
So for example, if I copy this right here, let me copy that and I'll put that here. If I do this, we should see the same exact output as our map. A, B, C, there you go. So the same thing is applied here. Since counters is an array that's coming from our app.js, which is the state, which is inside the state, right? I am mapping over this array, but this array, instead of us having A, B, C, it has four different objects in it. So I'm accessing one object at a time and rendering it in the UI by using this map. So now, since I'm rendering one at a time, that means this counter here is one element at a time, right? Just like here, we had, I created element. Same thing as that. It is one element. So if you guys want, we can name it as element here.
No, it's good.
Yeah, okay. So since it's counter, now I'm passing one object to my handle reset function. I'm passing that, and now what I want to do is I want to find the index of it by using index of method. But first I created a copy of my state, which is the array counters. And inside of that, I'm finding the index of the counter that I'm looking for, whatever the one that I click, right? Whichever the one, so it's printing out 0. So I'm printing out 0, I mean 1, let's see. So right now I'm printing out 3. So it is going to return me 3, and which should be 0, 1, 2, 3. So the last one, and I'm accessing the last one's value and setting it to 0. And that's only happening inside the copy of the counters array. And now I'm setting that copy back to the original counters array in the state by using this set state. Any questions?
It's
0.
getting clearer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, now let's implement this reset all. So the cool thing about reset all is we don't need to pass the counter, right? So as soon as the reset all is clicked, reset all is not even in the counter, it's in There you go. It's inside my regular app class. Yeah. Where's my app class? Oh,
Yeah,
this is my app class. Okay.
bottom.
So
Yeah.
inside my app class, I have a reset all, and this reset all is a component, but inside the same app class. So all this is responsible is to create one button, which is called reset all. So I think what I should do is to have it capitalized, reset all. There we go. So all this component is doing is creating one button, and on click, we are calling on reset all function. And this on reset all function is here, which is called handle reset all. And now we need to create that function. Let's do that here. Handle, oops, handle reset all. I don't need to pass anything here, right? Because what reset all needs to do is, well, right now it's not going to work. It just needs to go inside and make every single object value to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to help here? How can we do that? I want to change every single object value to 0.
This set state.
This, that set state,
And then counters to 0.
Counters.
But we have to reach out to values.
Yeah, I think we have to like map or not filter, but map. I think like each value of all the values of that array. So we have to create a copy first, right?
Yeah, we can create a copy if you want, or we can directly do it here. It's completely up to us, right? So let's create a copy if you get. So how do I create a copy?
You can declare a variable and use a spread operator.
Yeah, the variable name, we can
counter copy, counters copy.
Counters copy, okay.
Square bracket, 3 dots, counters. This state counters, yeah.
Yes. Now, if I print out the log counters copy, and I can, so we can copy this one. Let's clean this. So if I click the, I don't know how to bring this. Okay. What? Okay. So if I click reset all, see it's printing out my object.
Okay.
That's inside my state. And they all have 0 right now. But right now I changed the state.
I think we
and
have
when I
to,
click, yeah. Now it has, see, it has the values, right? Now what I want to do is I want to go inside and change all of these to
values.
0. Yeah.
Yeah, counters copy dot value equals 0, right?
Counters copy dot value. It's not gonna work.
No, it's not gonna work. In this case, I think we need to use higher order function to basically, I think filter, right? It modifies the original array when you filter. Or we need to use higher order function that modifies the data as we like iterate through each indexes.
Yep. How do we, which function do you guys think we should use? Map, okay.
Probably.
Map.
I don't know.
Counter.
Yeah.
I will just call, let me call it as item.
Okay.
one item, and what do I want to change in that item?
The value. Item dot value
Yeah.
Item dot value
equals to 0.
equals 0. Okay. And now let's print out. Let's print it out. And I'll clear this here. Save it. So right now, when I print it out, everything should have 0, 0, 0.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, and if I have, for example, this and this and this, when I print it out, when I click this, I should print it out. There you go. Now we should see those values all to be 0. Yeah.
Good.
Because we changed them all to zeros. Okay, now all I need is put this back to what?
To this that set state.
Yep.
Right there.
Counters copy. That's it. So if I save it, now I change this, change this, change this. Now watch. All 0. Right?
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Any questions about this one? Can we use for loop here instead of map?
Yeah.
We can?
Yes, we can.
Okay, let's do that with the for loop now. How can we do that with the for loop?
For
Just gonna be, yeah. You know the difference between in and off? Okay, yeah, I thought you were gonna use the let I in off. Yeah, I mean, like the for loop higher order function.
Yeah, we can do that too. Let I off. Is it off or in?
Yeah, like I wanted to know what's the difference between on and in and off.
One of them actually returns the value, like the element, and the other one returns index.
In returns the index?
Oh, one of them. I'm not sure.
Okay, let's find out.
So one of them is used for arrays and the other one is for objects. I think it should be off.
In for objects.
Oh, for objects?
Yeah.
But we are looping through the array.
Yeah, so in works for objects and off works for array, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so for off loop in JS.
What if you have an array with the values of like you know, like array of objects? Would it work?
Yeah, that's what we have.
Anyway, it's an array.
Let's see, guys. So so this is an array of objects, right? Now for let I of object, and I want to console.log I. It's working. Do the same thing with let I in object, console.log I.
So
I in indexes. Okay.
Yeah.
Off returns the element itself. And so we can use both of them if you guys want. I mean, either one of them, right? Even if we have the index, we can still use that, right?
Yeah, because we're only resetting it.
Yeah. So we're just going to use off for now to make it less confusing. So let I of let element, let element of counters copy, and reset all, I need to change the value to 0. How do I do that?
Same thing. Element that value equals to 0.
Boom, right? That should work, right?
It should.
There you go.
Hey.
Boom. And if we want to, for example, use the in, let element in counters copy. By the way, I can delete this, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And element, so element is returning us the index, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now. So counters dot element
Mm-hmm.
dot value equals 0.
Okay.
Does it make sense? See?
Yeah. We use it as
Because, yeah, because this in is returning us what?
the index.
Yes, the index of each element inside an array. So yeah, we can use, I can just name it as index so that it's less confusing. So yeah, we can use, as you can see, the for loop with op, regular for loop too, right? The let I equals 0, or I is less than array.length, I++, we can do that, which will be very similar to this because we will be accessing each element by its index. We can use this, or we can use higher order function with map and achieve the same thing. So now we're able to reset everything to 0. And what about add counter now? That's also very simple. All we gotta do is to make sure that one thing that you guys have noticed here is the ID is different for each one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since they are unique, we want to make sure that each of them have a separate unique ID. And to achieve that, what I think we should do is when we are, so adding a counter is like, we just need to, so add counter means adding one row. That row should only have value and ID, right? And let's see an example here. So for example, I have this. So now I want to insert another object to this array. So let me actually change this name to, instead of object, I'll just put array as the name, right? Console.log array. So when I print out my array, I'm seeing 4 objects where ID is 2. Oh, that's fine. So now, if I want to add one more object to my array, how can I do that?
You can use the method push.
Okay. Array.push. I need to create an object where ID
5.
ID 5, let's say, and the value to be 5. Value can be 0 if you want. And then do this, boom. And now if I print out array,
There should be 5 items.
yep, now I have 5 items. And so we created an object on the fly, right? But what if, let's create in a more traditional way. Let object is gonna be equal to, I will create a new object with the ID of 6 and the value of 0. Boom. That's my object right now. And can I go ahead and push this object to my array?
Yes.
Same way, right? Array dot push and then object.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I print out my array,
6 elements.
Yeah, the last one I added is this one right here. So that's the same logic that we have to do. So we have the counters array. Now, when I click on add counter, I need to create one more of this object and add it right after this, just like this. ID is going to be 5, and value is going to be 4. See, it just got added. I didn't have to do anything. I just added it here, right? And
Yeah.
if I reset, it's setting it back to 0. If I delete, it's deleting, but it remains here. So this is what I need to achieve, basically. And to do that, we don't need to pass any counters or anything. So add counter, I create a separate counter for it, component, and I'm passing handle add counter method to it on add counter. This is my props, and that's in here. So I'm creating a button, right? And this button has a name add counter. So let me capitalize that as well. Add new counter. There we go. So now its name changed to add new counter. So when I click this on click inline handling, I think inline method function handling, what they call, I forgot. Inline whatever handling it is, I'm calling on add counter method, which is here being passed as props. That should be on the app, should be called handle add counter. I can call it the same name, right? On add, oops, on add counter. I can call it the same name. Now I just need to create this method. How do I create that? Okay, let's go ahead and create it here.
Arrow function.
Yep. So how do I add new object?
We have to create the shell copy first.
Let's do that. Yep. So how about we create? So there are two ways of creating. So remember, this is our array, right? And I want to add object to it. So if I do this, array copy is equal to my existing array, and I want to add new object to it. ID, you know what? I can actually have it as different, in a different way too. Syntax, okay, because this is array of objects. Okay, that's fine. ID 7 and the value to be 8. Now, if I console log my array,
Array copy.
oh, console log array copy. There we go. I have my array, and I also have new object added to it. That's weird. Why it's adding in that way?
I think you have to use a spread operator.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Or maybe we can simply push like a new object into that array.
Yeah. Console.log array copy. Now it should, there you go. Spread operator, I forgot. Yeah. So this is ending in 5 minutes. Okay, we still got time. So how about, yeah, we can use push if you guys want. Yeah. Do we want to create a new object then? Like an empty object?
To push.
Like, yeah. So to push here, where is it? Something like this. We need to create
Oh, yeah.
this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can use like how you call it, like we can take the length of that array, and then based on that we can add like 1 into the ID, right? We can so
Length
every
or what?
I mean, like every time you push, you wanna create like a ID and plus 1, right?
Yeah, so we
Starting from
need
the
to get
last.
the, yep, so we need to get the last element's ID,
Mhm.
right? And then add 1 to it.
Yeah.
So we can put that as a ID for the new object. Let's do that. New ID is gonna be what? How about we create a shallow copy first, yeah? Const counter copy is gonna be equal to this state counters. So now we have that. And how do I access the last element of this array?
Array.length -1.
Yep, counters copy that length -1. But I need to get, what do I need to get?
ID.
Yes,
ID.
that ID. Yep. So let's print out the ID now.
New ID.
Last element ID, and then new ID. So when I click add new counter, right now I should see 4, right? Why do I need to see 4? Because we are getting the last element by doing length -1. We're doing the last element and getting its ID.
Yeah.
So 4, we got it, right? So if I delete, I'm getting 3 now. Why?
Because the length is changing.
Yep. Not the length, because our array is changing, right?
Yeah, yeah, the number of values, right? Yeah.
Yep. Let's do, for example, now, what do I want to do is, so we have that. So now when we create a new object, we're gonna use this ID +1. Is that right?
Yep.
Because we don't want to have them the same ID. So to do that, let's go ahead and create new object. New object, it is gonna be ID.
+1.
Yep. New ID +1.
Value 0.
And the value is gonna be 0 in the beginning, yeah? So
Yeah.
now we have that. So how do we add that to our state?
Oh, it's like a this set state, and then you put the counters, and then is it something like
Spread operator.
yeah, spread operator,
Counters.
and then
Spread operator. It should be, I think, yeah, like that. Just counters copy without the state.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Counters copy.
And the new object.
New object. Boom.